The Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by DraftKings, the weekend update for the rankings, the DraftKings ownership, and the prop. The prop sniper exclusive package is now available at runthesims.com. Code Mayo gets you 10% off. I think it's like $13 a week. So if you're interested in props, or if you play in a place where there is no daily fantasy, but you can bet on, both prize picks, on underdog, and on the sports books like DraftKings Sportsbook, then the prop sniper is where you want to be at. It's just prop tools. You can either shop and find the best place for your numbers, or just click the best bets, and it's kind of like the answers to the test. Whether the answers are right or not, well, I guess that depends on what happens on the field, but it'll just give you a menu to make things easy on yourself. So the prop sniper is where you want to be. So we're going to go with injuries, then the updated rankings, then DraftKings, then props, then we'll do a same game parlay for the London game. A reminder to you all that I am going to be live at 9 a.m. Eastern Time on Mayo Media Network Sunday morning, taking your start sit questions. You got questions, you come to me. I might yell at you if your questions are stupid, but that's fine. The people like that. The people enjoy that in the chat. Mostly, 98% of people have great questions. Hard start sit questions. I will answer those ones. You have a stupid question, I'm going to probably ban you for life. But either way, hey, it'll make some fun entertainment. And Tambo and the crew are going to be up after me at 9:45 a.m. Eastern Time, breaking everything down. Then I'll be back with myself, Tambo, and Cust, 7:15 p.m., up until Sunday Night Football to see what is going on. Cuss was fire last week with his who's not going to score the first touchdown? George Kittle? Well, he scored the first touchdown. People cashed in bigly when it came down to it. Let's jump over to the injury report, though. This is over on the Mayo Media newsletter that is completely free to join, by the way. And you can get that down in the description right now, or go to Substack. Austin Eckler is going to play. Rashad Penny is expected to play. Not that he's going to do anything, but he is expected to be in uniform for the Eagles this week. Keontae Ingram still can't do that Hannibal Lecter thing. The Keontae. He's going to play for Arizona. He's expected to start. He's number 1 on their depth chart. So Despacito, or whatever the hell that guy's name was, is probably just going to be the pass catching back. Barkley is going to be a legit game time decision as of right now. Hopefully, we get clarification from Schefter or Rappaport on Sunday morning. I'll address that on the live show if we do have the information. But I have him out of the rankings right now, mainly because he's a game time decision for Sunday Night Football, meaning that if you want to utilize Barkley, now if you have Matt Breida, not that big of a deal. If Barkley is active, you just start Barkley over Breida and put him in. Maybe you have, a Bills running back. Maybe you have someone on Monday night. But if you don't have anyone to fill in for Barkley in that spot, it's going to be pretty difficult to wait for him with only 2 games remaining in the slate. Now, if you do have a viable running back, or you can play him as a flex, and you have a flex option to insert into your lineup, then it's not that big of a deal. However, I don't know how healthy the dude's going to be. So just keep that in mind going forward, that is one of the later games. Outside of that, we got Elijah Mitchell, currently questionable. We'll see how that ends up going with him against Cleveland. It's a terrible matchup. Not that you want to play Elijah Mitchell anyway. Then we have the string of guys who are just out. Jahmyr Gibbs, out. Miles Sanders, out. Chuba Hubbard starting. More on him in the rankings if you want to jump to that. Roshan Johnson, out. Khalil Herbert, out. Travis Homey is out. Jeff Wilson will be on a snap count if he is activated, but he is not expected to be activated in this game against the Panthers. James Conner was placed on IR. Ditto for Herbert. Ditto for A-Chain. Jamal Williams still currently on injured reserve, and obviously Aaron Jones had missed Thursday Night Football. Was it Thursday Night Football? Monday Night Football last week. They're on a bye this time around. The big question we have at wide receiver this week is TE Higgins. He is a game time decision. He did practice in full on Friday, meaning that he's very close to playing. However, the Bengals have a bye week next week. So if they do want to get him right, now is the time to sit him down, have him come back fresh after the bye. We'll see how desperate Cincinnati feels like they are at the moment at home against Seattle, whether or not they can do this without T. Higgins. If T. Higgins is in, which I do have him in the rankings, we'll get to that, is one thing. However, if he is out, Trenton Irwin becomes a viable streaming option. I don't think he'll replicate what he did a week ago, but that's on the table if you are in desperate need of a receiver or a flex in a deeper league. The crocodile on a Trenton Irwin is probably available for you. Juju, out. Quez Watkins, out. Traylon Burks, out for London. Demario Douglas, hey, super Demario. Not so super right now. He's out. Zay Jones, out. Tank Dell has yet to pass concussion protocol, so I'm expecting him to be out. Maybe that changes on Sunday morning. Keep an eye on that. Robert Woods a bit banged up. He is expected to go in that game. Tyquan Thornton can return from injured reserve for the Patriots this week. Now, they're down 2 receivers, so maybe he can come back. He was limited all week in practice. No word yet on whether or not he's going to play. Wendell Robinson expected to be in. Mike Evans expected to be in. Hollywood Brown has an illness. He's currently questionable. I would expect him to play against the Rams. Deontay Johnson is eligible to return from injured reserve after the bye week. Justin Jefferson, placed on injured reserve, gone at least 4 weeks, probably more. After that, we'll talk a little bit about KJ Osborne, Jordan Addison, and Brandon Powell in the ranking section here. And Justin Watson left Thursday Night Football with an elbow injury. It's not broken. There was no significant damage at tight end. Juwan Johnson is out for the Saints, as is Ian Thomas against the Dolphins. Giovanni Ricci is also out. He's the H-back on Carolina, meaning Tommy Tremble and Hayden Hurst will just probably see more snaps in that game, which is a very pass-happy script. If you're in a 38-team league, maybe you pick up Hayden Hurst if he's still good. Or actually, Hayden Hurst is actually a viable streamer this week. You probably don't want Tommy Tremble. But either way, Dalton Kincaid remains in concussion protocol, as does Mo Alley-Cox for the Bills. And for the Colts, Mo Alley-Cox will have more information on because that is an earlier game than Sunday Night Football, which is what Dalton Kincaid is up to right now. Ditto with Dawson Knox and his wrist injury. I would expect Dawson Knox to play, probably not with Kincaid. However, we shall see overnight. We may not get that Kincaid information, though. David Njoku still has bad burns on his face. I know he played through it before the bye. Apparently, it's gotten a little bit worse, so keep an eye on him. Not sure whether or not he's going to play. Pure game time decision. Ditto for, Donald Parham and the Laporta Potty both expected in. Freiermuth, coming off the bye, might return. Greg Dulcich returned on Thursday Night Football, only to exit the game, re-aggravating his hamstring injury. At quarterback, Daniel Jones is out. Deshaun Watson is out. So we're getting Tyrod Taylor and PJ Walker starting for the Cleveland Browns, and Anthony Richardson is out 4 to 8 weeks, has been placed on injured reserve. There's that props package I was talking about. You can get it all through the newsletter. Take a look. The favorite prop from Thursday night, Jerick McKinnon under 9.5 rushing yards. Well, that was a winner because he had 0 attempts for 0 yards on the ground. Unfortunately, my same game parlay did not come through because stupid Javonte Williams actually played really well. And Russell Wilson did throw an interception, but Sky Moore, useless. Jerick McKinnon. Basically, the prop sniper just nailed everyone on the Chiefs and just got Denver wrong on Javonte Williams and Russell Wilson. And those were the 2 that I ended up going with. So that was no fun. But again, code Mayo will get you the 10% discount on the prop sniper. Can't recommend it enough. We'll get a little bit of a visual on it here in a moment. Running back rankings for the week number 6. In case you didn't know, all of the rankings are available for free down in the description right now. If you want to click on them and follow them around and get the updates, they're also available on DKNation.com at the same time. Additionally, what I did want to point out very briefly was going back to everything. There is a Restart Survivor League going on right now. The link is down in the description. It is free to play if you've never played in a Survivor League. Now's a great time to get in. There's $5,000 to first prize. You make 1 pick a week. If your team doesn't lose, you advance. People are tied at the end. You split the $5,000. However, it is free to play. You can get the link in the description, or you can get it right now over in the newsletter. It's easy stuff. Like I said, it takes 43 seconds to sign up. It takes less than 10 seconds every week to make your picks, and you shall be good to go. Christian McCaffrey is number 1. So let's go to the guys that actually mean something this week. I have Mostert up to number 6 in the running back rankings. Full point PPR without Devin Etienne around. Salvin Ahmed. I think it's not Chris Moore. It's Chris something or other. Whoever the hell that other dude's name is. I don't think they're going to do much. They'll do some. I mean, they're huge favorites in this game. But Mostert looks like he's reliable once again. Continuing to go down the list, Chuba Hubbard without Miles Sanders. I have coming in at number 19. This could be a great pass catching situation for him, probably not going to do much on the ground against the Dolphins as 14-point underdogs. However, we've seen check down city from Bryce Young to Miles Sanders. Without Miles Sanders around, I would expect a lot of that to go to Chuba Hubbard. Additionally, I still have Zach Moss over Jonathan Taylor. At the moment, Justice Hill over Gus Edwards. And this was the toughest one because I really have no idea. I have Keontae Ingram at number 30 against the Rams. I have Dermacado at number 34. That's one spot ahead of Ezekiel Elliott. You can see Salvon Ahmed, Tony Jones. We'll talk about Donta Foreman here in a second. But Keontae Ingram coming in at number 30. He's not reliable, but in a pinch, he was widely available if you need him as a flex. There's worse spots than you can go to. I have Donta Foreman at number 23, with all of the Bears running backs being out. The backups at the moment that we're looking at, Darrynton Evans is going to be on that list. Tony Jones was just signed as well. So there's other options potentially out there, but it's going to be Foreman as the lead. It doesn't mean that he's going to be any good, mind you, but he is a reliable option that should get touches. And if you're just trying to mine touches at the running back position, that's the spot that you want to go to. Flip over to the wide receivers. Much ado about nothing over here. T. Higgins was the first one that I wanted to talk about. I have him at number 26 in the rankings. I did not have him in most of the week, and I had Trenton Irwin here in the 41, 42, 43 range with KJ Osborne, Josh Downs, Curtis Samuel, Robert Woods, Josh Reynolds. That type of range is where I had Trenton Irwin, which was above Boyd, who still comes in at number 50, just to kind of give you some context to where these guys are coming from. I don't trust T. Higgins a ton, so I have him behind guys that I figure are, listen, Devonta Smith is not trustworthy whatsoever, but we know that the big game potential is there for him, and he's healthy, hence why he's ranked over T. Higgins in the spot. Then you have Marquise Brown and Jacoby Myers just drawing so much in terms of target share from their own teams that it's going to be pretty good. I would still take the upside of Higgins over someone like DeAndre Hopkins, who is a target magnet, but playing in a very tough matchup against the Baltimore Ravens. It's not like, although DeAndre Hopkins has had some good games and some large target shares, he's just not like producing the touchdowns the way that you would want him to break the slate, where we know that T. Higgins has those 3 touchdown games in him just because Jamar Chase is out there running. You have to focus so much attention on Jamar Chase that it should be okay for him. Other than that, I have Jordan Addison at number 34, replacing Justin Jefferson. As you can see, I have KJ Osborne at number 40. So a very low-end wide receiver 3 for Jordan Addison, a high-end flex for KJ Osborne, depending on the size of your league. I also don't hate the second and third receivers for the Panthers this week. Chark at 46, Issa Mingo at number 47, just because of the game flow potential in that one, being that they're huge underdogs. They get behind early. It's just going to be pass city for Bryce Young and the passing game there. Quarterback-wise, if you want to know who, Gardner Minshew is the highest of like the backups that are coming in. He's at number 16. I don't expect to see much of a drop-off in the offense for the stats for both the receivers and tight ends on Indianapolis, but obviously Gardner Minshew is just not going to run the ball like Phony Tony was getting up to. Bryce Young at number 21, one spot behind Ritter, and Tyrod Taylor at number 19. Again, another situation is huge underdogs. You might get a lot of rushing yardage out of Tyrod in that game. PJ Walker last in the rankings. When you're behind Zach Wilson, you know it's not going to be a great matchup. Bad weather in Cleveland, playing an excellent defense in the San Francisco 49ers. At tight end, because Kelsey has already played, he is out of the rankings, making the Laporta potty, who's going to play number 1 in them rankings. So you're going to play all the guys that you're going to play normally. So you have your big 7 in Laporta, Andrews, Hawkinson, Kittle, Ingram, Goddard, Waller. Then you can kind of mix and match whoever you want. Dalton Schultz, Cole Kmet, Logan Thomas, Zach Ertz, Jake Ferguson, Kyle Pitts, the Pitts, Tyler Conklin, Jonnu Smith. So just a bunch of randos that hopefully you get lucky and one of them scores a touchdown. That's essentially all you're doing right now in the tight end market if you don't have one of the 7 guys or 8 guys, because we're going to include Travis Kelce with this as well, that actually matter right now. Let's now shuffle to runthesims.com and take a look at some of the updated daily fantasy projections based on some of the injuries that happened after Tambo and I did our show. Obviously, Chuba Hubbard is now opened up as a free square. He's number 43. He's 4,300. So Mostert and Chuba Hubbard were the 2 big winners of the injury news. When we take a look at the projected ownership right now at running back, 29% for Mostert, 22% for Hubbard. When you start constructing lineups, you can see that Donta Foreman is all the way down at 10% right now. I mean, listen, I think that Hubbard is objectively a good play at $4,300. You can see that the median projection for him right now is like 50th percentile projection is 13.7 points. That's pretty good. When we sort by price per dollar on Run the Sims, he is number one, and his value right now makes him pretty good. Here's the thing to look at, though. His optimal percentage is still quite low. That doesn't mean he's not going to be in the optimal lineup, because he is around 9% of the time. But 9% optimal rate at 22% ownership gives him a negative 13.3 optimal score. You see, Mostert is very much the same. Josh Jacobs, Rachaad White, even though Rachaad White is still coming in the single digits in terms of ownership. Guys who are actual positive values right now, Kyron Williams continues to be a great points per dollar play as favorites against a weak Arizona defense. Even though he's going to be 19% owned, he is projecting to be a better value than the $4,300 Chuba Hubbard. Even though you have to pay more than $2,000, the optimal leverage for him is much higher. DeAndre Swift, so that because they've opened up both with Donta Foreman and Chuba Hubbard in the low $4,000 range on DraftKings, that now we're looking at a situation where people are just going to try to jam in Christian McCaffrey. We see that his projected ownership is 8. I bet you it comes in higher than that solely because you now have the opportunity to pay down at 2 spots at running back if you wanted, and then flex one of the very high-end guys. Maybe what we're seeing that translates more to wide receiver. If we go to wide receiver and take a look at the projected ownership right now, Jamar Chase, 22%, Christian Kirk, 17%, Hollywood Brown, Tyreek Hill, 17%, Tyreek Hill, 17%. I didn't even look at Keontae Ingram to see what he was up to here and what his price point comes in, because you have all these cheap guys. Now, obviously, we know Keontae Ingram, projected ownership less than 1%. So you have these 3 cheap guys, $4,500 and down. You don't have to play any of them. And very clearly that Hubbard is the safest of all of them. He has the best projection. He has no one chasing him down. So essentially you just have to fade touchdowns from Chuba Hubbard in this game to get away with fading him. And the other cheap guys down the list are, listen, they're definitely not as safe, but they're far lower owned and in a decent opportunity as well. So just keep that in mind when everyone is building. I think it does create a little bit of leverage for yourself from the $6,000 to $7,500 range at running back outside of Mostert, who everyone's going to play. So you're going to see a lot of Mostert, Chuba Hubbard, stack lineups. You have one guy going one way, one guy going the other way. It sounds pretty good. Like in your cash lineups, that's what it's going to be. But it has alleviated some of the ownership while still high on your David Montgomery. Like he's only at 14% now. Bijan is only at 12%. ETN is still getting up there around 17%. Ditto with Jacobs, ditto with Kamara. No one's really using Ken Walker, despite the fact that Cincinnati's run defense is kind of terrible. That's a 5% ownership. So this is kind of the soft spot right here. Your Kenneth Walker, Kieran Williams is where we haven't projected at 19%. I don't think that he's going to come in at 19%. So even if you wanted to run like Kenneth Walker or Kyron Williams out there, just to get a little bit different, or Bijan and Brian Robinson going back against each other. Breece Hall against Philly is not a great matchup, but still very low ownership on that. Just there are guys that you can kind of pick and choose if you just don't start your teams with Mostert and Chuba Hubbard and just suck up all the ownership there. Maybe they turn out to be great plays. Who knows? At tight end, at ownership-wise, we're looking at, who do we got here? Evan Ingram. So Evan Ingram and Christian Kirk are both the highest tight end, the second highest projected owned receiver. I assume that means we're going to see a lot of Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence only at 10%. You can expect those guys to be stacked up a lot together. A 3-man stack with, I'm guessing, Josh Downs as the guy coming back. Josh Downs projected at 11%. That's not so bad. But for a guy with pretty low upside, I'd probably rather just try to go with Pittman for, obviously he's a lot more money, but he is only 3% more owned, or maybe you want to just punt with Granson on the other side with Minshew playing quarterback. Maybe that's the path that you want to take because he's super cheap for one thing. And you can see he just does not appear anywhere on any of these projected lists. Let's see, Granson, 2,900 at 2%. If you're going to get access to that game and try to get a little bit different, that's likely the way that you want to go in that format. 49ers D, it's funny that they're projected to be so highly owned now. A lot of that has to do with the opening up of the cheap running backs and even the cheap quarterbacks. If people want to play PJ Walker or whoever the hell it is that you might end up wanting to play, if we take DST out of it and we just take a look, like Josh Dobbs at 52 is still getting some love, Gardner Minshew at 5,000, Baker Mayfield at 54, Sam Howell at 55. I personally like Sam Howell the best of all those guys, if you care what I have to say about it. Ritter at 5,000, PJ Walker at 4,000, Zach Wilson at 4,900. Like, these guys aren't getting a ton of ownership, but there's enough cheap options both at quarterback and running back this week that is the reason that you're seeing a very highly owned, the most expensive defense at $4,000 coming in at 12% ownership. The Vikings against the Bears coming in at 11. That's at $3,000. Of the cheap defenses, the Patriots at 26, the Lions at 27, then the Bucks on the other side at 23 are all 6% or above. I actually like the Atlanta Falcons this week. Even though I like Sam Howell, he just takes so many sacks, and he's almost entering the Jameis zone where he's taking sacks, he's throwing picks, and producing fantasy points at the same time. That's a nice situation for that side of the ball. Points per dollar wise, I believe that they're near the top. Let's see. 2 point, maybe not. Oh no, let's see. Sort by that. Bears, 49ers, Falcons, top 3 points per dollar defenses. So instead of using Minnesota, you can use the Bears at 2,500. And who knows what that offense is going to look like without Justin Jefferson. And then the Falcons at 3,600. Instead of maybe somewhere in between the Vikings and the 49ers. You're seeing 3% ownership, 4% ownership. You need to get defense right, obviously, if you want to rise to the very top of a tournament. But just trying to be different enough might be the way that you can go about it. And projections show it's pretty flat anyway. Like, the projected ceiling for the 49ers is, it's going to be pretty high. It's 2 points higher than the 3 teams above and below them. Like, that's not a significant amount to go pay up and go eat chalk with the 49ers. Maybe it turns out to be the defense that you need. Well, that happens from time to time, that the chalky, expensive defense is where you need to be. But just trying to diversify a little bit, Falcons and Bears would be the 2 that I would be going to in order to do this. The Texans as well. You can see at $2,900, although their ownership is getting up there a little bit higher at 7%. Not that I care that much about the ownership percentage, but if I have another defense that's even cheaper at lower percentage that I rate out, listen, I don't think that the Bears defense is any good whatsoever. Ditto with the Falcons defense, but it's just a great spot for the teams that they're playing in the potential game environment that we're going to see. That is how you really want to be looking at fantasy defenses. Who's going to face a lot of pass attempts? That's what you want to see. Even if the other team scores points, just pass attempts lead to better situations for your fantasy defense. So keep that in mind when you're streaming or making your DraftKings picks for the week. Wanted to take a quick look at the Run the Sims Prop Sniper. Again, you can just get the props all under the betting tools option. At the top, you can get your player props. This includes both the prize picks tool. It includes the underdog tool, and then where you can get everything, on which site, what book is offering the best price, and the scoring of everything. So I'm taking a look at Sunday morning football live from London to see what is going on. We have Justice Hill is the best bet right now. Let's see. At DraftKings, it's minus 120 to be under 9.5 reception yards, under 1.5 receptions. He's been over this number in 2 of 3 games so far this year, but you're getting plus odds on it at certain books. Plus 105, even money, minus 102, hence why it comes in. Our simulations run that at a 67% winner. No score over 20, generally speaking. And I wrote up a post in the newsletter about how to best use this tool going forward. And essentially, you want to score above 20. Now, maybe we won't do that for this game because we see that, Justice Hill under 1.5 receptions. We might just play one just for the hell of it because that's a lot of fun. And you can see the button right here, the best bets versus the compare odds. This is what I was talking about earlier. You can just get a grid format from this game and from all games if you want to. You can also filter by which sportsbook that you want to use, or you can filter by what stat that you want to see, or you can just search. I have Baltimore highlighted right now. You can search by team, you can search by player to see what the best ones are coming up. I like to use the best bets just to give me the list so I can see the score pretty easily. The best winning percentage from this game is Justice Hill under reception yards against Tennessee, but the score is still not all that great despite being a 71% winner. You got to lay $1.20 in terms of juice at DraftKings. Well, it's a good bet. It's around not where I love to see it. Let's take a look at the Tennessee side and see if there's anything. Oh, there's not. Let's see. Rate by score. Nick Westbrook Ikena under 29.5 yards, although it doesn't rate out all that well. 67% winner at minus 114 odds. Not a lot of overs in this game. DeAndre Hopkins receiving yards is like the first over that we see. That's 55.5. The projection is 74. That wins 64% of the time. So that's not bad. Tajay Spears has been over 6.5 rushing attempts, 2 of 5 games, but it's 6.5. There's some decent Derrick Henry ones too, I think. Let's see. Derrick Henry. I didn't even see the Derrick Henry ones. Receiving yards over, 61% winner. That's not really a great one. So let's see what we can cobble together here as it pertains to a same game parlay for the London game. Again, if you use code Mayo at runthesims.com, you can get everything off the prop sniper. Here's the prize picks tool, by the way. If you like it for prize picks, or if you play on prize picks, you can actually add in, see, Josh Allen over sacks for the Jacksonville Jaguars is a big favorite right now. Let's see. DeMercado under rushing and receiving yards at 57.5. Okay, we'll take that under on prize picks, and it'll build your card for you at the bottom. And then we'll take, I don't know, Salvin Ahmed under rushing yards as well. So we'll play 2 unders there. You can see those are the 2 selections that you have. It will work the exact same way. And then it gives you a calculator on the right-hand side. So the odds for this to win are 68%. It's making it an EV play, both on the power play and the flex play. You can see at underdog, it works exactly the same way. DeMercado, the lines, I mean, you want to play that line at prize picks, clearly. But we'll go DeMercado under 2.5 receptions and Chuba Hubbard over 8.75 fantasy points at underdog. And again, it will give you the expected value. Right now, the odds to sweep, that is a winner around 75% or 70% of the time, sorry. So these are the tools that are included in the props package. You can always just get the DFS package, which includes all these as well. But I want to try to put together a little bit of a Sunday morning sweat for us. So we'll jump over to DraftKings. We saw Nick Westbrook Ikena under yardage was the first one that popped out. 29. Actually, the best one at DraftKings, receptions under 2.5. So that's the first one that we're going to play. Receiving props, Nick Westbrook Ikena under 2.5 receptions. Let's try to find him here. Alternate receiving yards, receptions. There we are. So we'll go under 2.5. That's minus 166. Jeez. That's steep odds. If you were just to play it straight up, I'd be curious. So it's minus 115 as not a part of a same game parlay. I don't know when the last time that we updated all of these were, but I kind of want to see turn these off for a second and just go to receiving props in general and see what that comes out to, because with that VIG, that will not make it a very good bet. I guess people jumped being one of the better projected plays. I'm sure just not only our projections do. Minus 166. Take a hard pass on that one. Or I guess we're still in the same game parlay. I guess I can go out of that and just go to receiving props as solos, because sometimes it's better to play them as solos. I thought it would just be fun to try to have a same game parlay as we went in through it. So try to take rushing and receiving props. Nick Westbrook Ikena, under 25.5, minus 130. So that is getting juiced up quite a bit. So it seems like other people are on that right now. So let's lay off that one for a second. Where's the receptions? That's receiving yardage. I want receptions. Jeez. The whole smorgasbord here of everything, isn't there? Receptions. Minus 2.5, minus 166. Wow. People really do love that one. So let's jump back in there. Let's try to find another one that we can go to. I just want to look on DraftKings because that's the site that I'm using right now. So those are the 2 best ones. Nothing above 10 right now in terms of where we want to be. I guess we can go with the receiving yardage over and the rushing yards under for Tajay Spears. That can be one side we try to play it, or we can just try to load up on the Baltimore side to see if those ones end up coming through. Like I said, the Sims were not great for Denver. They got some of the main ones wrong on Thursday Night Football. They absolutely crushed the Kansas City side. So maybe in this one where we have some better scores. So Justice Hill, reception yards under, Gus Edwards, rushing yards over. I don't know if I like that one, but hey, Sims know better than I do, so let's try that one out. Receiving props, we'll go with Justice Hill. Search down. Receiving yards under 9.5. I want rushing props on Goose Bus Edwards. Maybe if we just type in Edwards. So Edwards is not coming up at all. So we're not getting any of those props right now. Are you like us? I guess they've taken them off the board. Fantastic news. Great stuff. What else do we got going on here? Rashad Bateman over 14.5 receiving yards. Okay, that sounds terrible, but let's go with the Sims on this one to see what we can come up with. It is another week that he has returned from his hamstring injury, so maybe he's closer to being 100% at the moment. And listen, it's over 13.5 right now. So we'll go with that. And yeah, I want to turn it into a same game parlay. We can keep adding picks to this. That's plus 218. What else do we got from the Baltimore side that rates out all right? I mean, that's not even a great one. That's a 64% winner. Let's type in some Derrick Henry props. See what Derrick Henry has given us. Yeah, not a ton here. Derrick Henry over reception yards. It's a 61% winner. That one's not great. So yeah, maybe the London game is not where we want to attack. I guess the play would be Justice Hill under 9.5 receiving yards, over 13.5 receiving yards for Rashad Bateman. That seems kind of gross, doesn't it? That's not great. Let me see if I can rig up what the best prop is going to be just overall. I believe it's Salvin Ahmed under Ezekiel Elliott over rushing yards for the moment. That's just at DraftKings. Let's turn off that filter, see what we got. Kendrick Bourne over 3.5 receptions. It's even better if Tyquan Thornton ends up being out for this game, but that's really the one to target this week. Kendrick Bourne over 3.5 receptions. You can find it almost anywhere. At a certain place, it's plus money in order to bet it. The Sims really do love that one. After that, the other one you can really play is the Trevor Lawrence over rushing yards against the Indianapolis Colts. A lot of overs in that game it likes. Over Ingram, over rushing yards for both ETN and Trevi Lawrence, then over stuff for, especially receptions, for Christian Kirk in that game as well. Maybe that's the same game. Let's try to rig up that same game parlay. Maybe that one's a bit more fun to go to because this Baltimore one sucks. It's priced well. And sometimes if things are priced well and you feel like you don't have an edge, which we don't feel like we do in this game, that means you don't have to play it. That's okay. No one's going to begrudge you for not playing in a game with this one. So let's try receiving props. We're going to go with Evan Ingram. Let's see what the receptions are first. Ingram over 4.5, over 5.5 for Christian Kirk. All right, let's go over 61.5 for Christian Kirk, over 42.5 for Evan Ingram. Then we're going to go to rushing yardage, and we're going to see rushing props. We'll go over on Trevi Lawrence, and maybe we need one more. Let's go to the Jacksonville side of the prop sniper. Rushing yards over Trevor Lawrence. ETN is these are really highly graded. This is a much better game to go to per the simulations, if that's the way that we want to go to it as well. Just loves everything over Trevor Lawrence. So I wonder if we could put in pass completions or passing yards over 246 to see if, because we have over rushing yardage, if the system gets kind of frazzled, because sometimes you can trick the same game parlay dynamic odds into giving you better numbers. So Gardner Minshew over 132 point. What was the number on the prop sniper? The over was 246.5. The projection is 267, and that was Gardner Minshew, sorry. So 255. 246 is the number. So that's not great from that perspective. Let's see Gardner Minshew. See what he's projected to go to right now, because that actually seems pretty good. Minshew over passing yards, 225.5, over 237.2 is where you want to be. It likes pass attempts over 32.5 as well, but 235, Minshew passing. We can just put Trevi on. That gives us nothing if Trevor Lawrence gets over 225 passing yards. Yeah, so it's not looking great from that front. Let's see if there's any other Indianapolis one that rates out well that we can kind of throw on here. Granson, over 2.5 receptions. I like it. Let's go take a look at that. On the other side, receiving props. Grandson. Where are we at? Granson? They might not be offering it. Sometimes on the same game parlays, they do not allow you to go at everyone that you want to. So yeah, no, you can bet it as an actual prop. You cannot bet it as a part of a same game parlay, which is unfortunate because that would actually be a really nice piece that we can put in. Despite only being a 59% winner at plus odds, you're looking pretty good. So nothing on the indie side is really all that good. The best rated one is in the 7s. And again, I don't like to go anywhere that low. I mean, we can just put on a full-on onslaught and go with ETN over 68.5 rushing yards as well. We're calling that a 72% winner at the moment. I mean, obviously let's just do it this way. Let's just go 3 picks. And that's the way that we're going to finish this one off. So when we take a look at it, we're going to go with over 61.5 Christian Kirk receiving yards, over 42.5 Evan Ingram receiving yards, and then over 17.5 Trevor Lawrence rushing yards. That pays over 5-1 plus 525 on the same game parlay. We've hit the same game parlay on this show each of the past 2 weeks, so hopefully we can run it up to 3 in a row. If you win the same game parlay this week, wherever it is that you play it with those 3, go and buy the prop sniper at runthesims.com. It's been really good so far with the simulations. It's $13 a week. It's $39 per month. Use code Mayo. You can get 10% off of all of that. And realistically, if you're going to be playing some big same game parlays, that's how you can help us out by buying that and playing along with us at the same time. So hopefully we can all be winners. Play in the Restart Survivor. That is free to play. That is down in the description right now, as is the injury report, inside the newsletter, and all of the rankings. Okay? I'm Pat Mayo. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.